cited that the scheme was a little more complicated this year, that you guys would be able to throw a little bit more at teams. How satisfied are you at this point that guys are playing as fast as they need to, and that some of that's materialized for you?
I think it's certainly situational. I mean, and it's certainly for pockets of time. You know, the struggle becomes when you don't do it for 60 minutes. You know, to hang your hat on one element that way. But you know, you also can't ignore those pockets of time. I mean, I think what he's speaking to is the ability of these guys to allow us to coach them and put some things on their play, whether it's a base situation, a dime situation. And that's just personnel changing bodies, but changing checkers obviously changes rules in that. And then same thing from a front standpoint is they're putting enough on their plate, and so you know as we've talked that we're not saying that every Tuesday's practice is just the same coaching points over and over again. And that's off-season stuff that's continuing on to the season. But I hear that name Solomon Bird, and I mean, goodness gracious, what an impact he's had. And obviously Coach Newell does a great job with those guys. But you know, just tons of credit to him, a guy that was limited in off-season because of surgery and that, and then to have the impact that he's had. I can't sing his praises enough.
Alex, you get a chance to see what Bryson Shaw was saying after the Colorado game?
I did not.
Just in general, kind of talking about, you know, gave a very impassioned speech just about how he felt you guys were, the team was letting you down, and you were putting them in the right positions to make plays, and that, you know, guys just weren't capitalizing. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that?
No, I mean, Bryson's a great kid. I think the biggest thing, you got to coach him through everything. You know, coach him through everything. It's coaching. You know, if you see a deficiency on the field, it's one of those things you get in this business. You either believe in coaching or you don't. If you're a coach, what you can't do is then all of a sudden say, you know, that you can't have an impact. And so you got to coach them through everything. If there's 40 minutes of you know, I guess call it winning football, not elite football, but winning football, and we got to coach them the next 20 and find a way to get 60 out of them. And then if there's a deficiency that continues to show up, and you take it very personal as a coach, that's the only way you can get better. And you know, my hope would be in all facets. I mean, when you're talking about a program, you're talking about a culture and a group of guys, players and coaches, coaches to players, players to players, that you're you know, pardon the expression, but in the foxhole together, and everybody pulling in the same direction, fighting, scratching, and clawing. And you know, one of the things we talk about all the time is we're not immune to struggle just because the logo says SC. You know, and so we got to embrace it, and man on man, it'd be fun to get on the other side of it. And it sure is, you know, good to come out on Tuesday and continue to work and after a win, you know. And so you know, that's one of the messages too. You got to lose a ball game to learn the lesson, right? So we're fighting, scratching, clawing, not hiding under a desk, and excited for another one this weekend.
On Saturday, you can seem to reject the idea that some of the defensive issues were the same as last year. Where do you see differences maybe in the things that this defense needs to work on versus?
Yeah, I think, you know, it might be a little bit low-hanging fruit to compare. I mean, obviously you can come up with individual plays on any given Saturday on any team. If one guy misses a tackle, you can find a clip of missing a tackle in the years past. And so you really got to protect against that, just the same as if a guy misses a shot in the basketball game. It's the same issue, missed another one. But all the same, I think, you know, I percentage-wise, and this is one of the things we talk about, I'll share this, is because football doesn't care what percentage you get right. I think percentage of football that's done well, it is certainly you know, higher than a 2022 season. Now there's a lot of new faces, and that's another thing that we've got to be very disciplined in. There's a lot of guys just played their second, you know, road game with us, and some guys are learning some of these experiences for the first time as they come from different programs, and they come with their experiences and some of their baggage. And obviously, including myself, guys that were here last year, you know, we have lessons, but the 2023 team's got to learn them, you know, specifically to the things that happen every Saturday. So, but no, I think you're constantly looking for a better quality over a larger percentage of time. And like we talked to the guys today, football doesn't care the percent you get it right. It will find you if you get it wrong. And you know, and part of that is understand what it takes to win. 40 minutes doesn't get you a win. It never has, never will. We never get there. There's no mercy rule in football. If we felt good at 41-14, we sure didn't feel very good at the end of it. And so there's only one way to change that feeling. And also, too, you got to give credit to your opponent. You're playing quality offenses. They're going to fight, scratch, and claw. And we got to make sure it's one thing to keep playing, it's another thing to keep fighting. We got to make sure we fight more.
What do you think went wrong in that final quarter and a half? What was your evaluation?
Yeah, individual plays and individual drives. I mean, I think to come up with one blanket statement would be inaccurate. You know, it'd be nice to be able to do that. I think it's a number of different things. I think, you know, you got to make sure if you're scoreboard watching, you know, and that affects your behavior on the field. That's a maturity issue, and that's a constant, and you see it on Sundays too. And so that's never eliminated. And we can't come up with a coaching point or a moment or you know, a collection of you know, guys who say that's never going to happen again. But unfortunately, we've also been down this road before, and that's one of the messages is you know, we got to make sure that we fight scratch and claw for 60 minutes. That tackle we made in the first quarter, we got to go make it again in the fourth. You know, the takeaway count, the sacks, the TFLs, and you know, one of the other things we talked to the guys about. I feel like I'm sharing too much right now, but you got to add an S to everything. It's not a play. You know, we made a play. You know, we made a collection of its plays, and good gracious, the number of plays that are needed to win a football game. Once you get in that middle of the third quarter, and as we call the championship round, once you get to the fourth quarter, it's like a whole new game starts. And we got to have gain a bigger appreciation for that. That's defensive football. You don't get to punt. You don't get an opportunity to rest and hope the clock runs out and all that stuff. And so we got to coach them through that. It's one thing to say it; it's another thing to man it and get out the guys. And I believe we can. I believe we will. And it sure is frustrating when you don't get to punt. All right, thank you all.